Have a buyer you need pre-approved? Well, the Brian Manning team is available 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we can close as quickly as 10 days. Call me anytime, 303-500-3839.
Balance isn't about standing still. It's not about splitting time perfectly between work and life. That's a myth. Real balance is momentum. It's knowing when to lean in, when to step back, and how to stay in control when everything is moving fast. Brian Manning built his success by rejecting the outdated idea of balance and embracing something better, alignment. The ability to go all in on big goals without losing what matters most. This is Balance in Motion, a new way of thinking, a new way of living. Because the people who achieve the most aren't looking for balance. They're mastering the flow. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, everyone. Balance in Motion podcast. Super excited to be here today, especially because our guest is Daphne Queen, top producing real estate advisor in Boulder. Built a career over 20 years with being here. And I really think it's also been a lot through relationships and referrals, which is always so incredible to see. I'm just so excited to talk with Daphne. She's deeply connected in the community here, the music scene here, really stays immersed in all the things that she loves, but also somehow figures out a way to have a family and a successful career. So I'm excited to just talk with you today, Daphne. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for the invite. I was excited to come on and, one, get to talk to you and get to share some of the, things that I experienced in my real estate career in the last 20 years.
It's a long time, but before we get into real estate, I always like to start by really learning more about you. Where are you from? Where were you raised? Where'd you go to school? Did you even go to school? Like way back before 20-year career started. Let's talk more about where you're from and
Okay.
family, and yeah, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I was born in Chicago, born in Evanston Hospital, and didn't live there very long. Did a short stint in Larchmont, New York, from some early elementary years, and then my family moved back to South Bend, Indiana, and that is where I grew up. Most people know South Bend because it is Notre Dame is in the town. So grew up in a very heavy Notre Dame college town, fun place to be from. Went to school in Indiana, did not go to Notre Dame, went to Ball State, and that was a super fun experience. And then did an internship in Chicago right after college, and I quickly decided that I hated the weather in the Midwest. And we used to come out to Colorado to ski in high school, and it was always sunny. It was always sunny. It was always sunny. So I'm like, I think I need to move to Colorado. So after I did my internship in Chicago, I packed up like so many people do and moved to Colorado.
I mean, the sun is impactful. It really has such an impact on your psyche and your
Yeah.
life living in a place like this.
Yeah, it does. And I did a ski season up in Aspen, which was amazing. I quickly realized I probably was going to have a harder time making a life in that town. So I came back to Boulder and never left.
I love it. So how long you been in Boulder for? Has it been 20 years?
I've been in Boulder since, well, I first moved here in 91. So, and then, Aspen, Boulder. So I've basically been back here since 94.
That's amazing. My a neighbor that used to live behind me grew up here, and he says, and I think he's in his 70s. He says, I remember when fucking Sanitas was a place where we would throw keg parties and smoke weed at the bottom, and, like, now people are hiking it all serious, like, what happened to this town? You know, I'm sure you've seen such, similar changes, to be here since the '90s.
I have, I've seen a lot of changes. I'm definitely not the person that says, well, it used to be so much better. Oh, I remember when. I'm like, every year Boulder has changed and it's changed a lot since I first moved here, but so have I. And, I think there is no good place that doesn't change. Not anymore. There's no place you can go to that stays the same. And, honestly, change is what life's about. And so you got to just roll with it. The good,
Yeah.
the bad, the ugly, right?
Yep. I
Maybe
love
that's
it.
why I like real estate.
For sure. And how about, I know music is a big part of your life.
hmm
When you start seeing shows, like, when do you feel like music really crept into your life? And I feel like any of us that are big music fans had this time where it kind of came in and then it probably became really impactful, especially in the person that we are, the way we think, the experiences that we've had, the people that we've met.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when did that really start with you?
College, for sure college. And when I started to see the Grateful Dead, the real Grateful Dead.
Yep.
Yeah, the real Grateful Dead. And I feel like that's a story of a lot of people, whether
Mhm.
they became Deadheads, loved the band, whatever. They might have gone and seen a Grateful Dead show and it inspired something inside of them that took them somewhere else. And that definitely was very inspiring for me in my life and sort of laid the groundwork for, what was to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when was your first show? First Dead show? Do you
In
remember?
yeah, I do. My first Dead show was in 1990.
Nice. That's awesome.
Mhm. Yep, 90. Yeah, maybe
That's
89?
amazing.
Deer Creek. It was at
Deer
Deer
Creek.
Creek. Yep.
I love it. That's great. And then so now, I've always felt like you've really have been, you've always been really big in the music scene and just, in the community. And I also feel like you've really weaved that into your business as well, like it seems
Mhm.
like, and I could be wrong, this is me on the outside looking in, you figure out a way to still like have fun, be in a community, see music, but also build relationships, meet people. And it seems like a lot of your clients come through, shows you've seen or people you've met. So how have you weaved that all together?
I think that just was organically, I'm definitely a connector type person. Back 25 years ago, just being in Boulder, being young, seeing music, working in restaurants, going to the Fox. I mean, the Fox Theater, the Boulder Theater, those are like roots of this town. And I think just meeting people through that and then having a lot of friends that worked in the music industry, including my husband, that sort of solidified, my network of people. And then it
Mhm.
expanded out from there, obviously
Yep.
it's expanded out from there. But that is the core of my OG sort of sphere.
Yeah. So I
Good
think
people.
a lot of people think, oh, I would love to make more friends and get business from my friends or, get more involved in my community. And sometimes there's a struggle in the crossover of creating friendships, meeting people, and then crossing that into business as well. How do you bridge that gap? And do you have any suggestions for anyone that's maybe newer and up and coming of, how do you have those conversations with friends or how do they know you're what you do for a living or a realtor?
Well, social media has
Mhm.
a very large, um, you know, playing field in
Yep.
that now. But that wasn't a thing when I started. I mean, 20 years ago, social media was not something that you did and it wasn't even around. So, how did I do that back then? I mean, God, how did we meet up with people without phones? You know, it's like how you just did. You just connected in a different way than we do now. Now everything is so, it's instant. It's on the phone. I think everything was a little more grassroots, but we didn't know any other way. So people just knew that I did real estate, and probably because I always talk about it, and people trust me. And so that was another big thing, is that you just build on each transaction, and yeah, organically.
Are you an investor that does fix and flips, or are you a realtor that has clients that do fix and flips? Well, I can help you make a cash offer, and we can close as quickly as 7 days. To learn more about our private hard money lending, call me anytime, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 303-500-3839. I love it. And what pulled you into real estate originally?
So I kind of always was interested in real estate, and I got into the ski and snowboard industry, and I worked for Burton Snowboards 30 years ago, and did that for 11 years. I was a rep, but I always wanted to get my real estate license. And then I started a digital music startup company with iPods. That's a whole other podcast. No one had ever even heard of iPods. And that I wanted to get my real estate license then, but I was kind of entrenched in this startup business. So I secretly got my real estate license, unbeknownst to anyone I worked for or the owner of the company.
Nice.
And then I finally just kind of took the leap of faith, and, never looked back.
I love it. And, you take the leap of faith. It's scary. You're really betting on yourself. There's a lot of
Hmm.
unknowns. It's
Hmm.
stressful. Was there ever a time where when you really like had endured so much pain, but you kind of maybe saw, hey, oh my gosh, this is working. I think I can actually pull this off, not with just being stubborn and just like, I'm going to go do this. Like you actually thought like, holy shit, I can make a career out of this.
Yeah, it's interesting because I got into real estate in 2006, and
Hmm.
then we all know what happened in 2007, 2008, and 2009 during the market crash. Luckily I was in Boulder, where, our market, we had pockets that certainly were underwater, but for the most part we were flat. And I didn't really know any better, right? I didn't really know there, I don't know. I just didn't know what I know now. And so I think that helped. And I was a lot younger, and I just didn't really have any fear.
Yeah, I
I
love it.
just went for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think people getting into careers, when there's a meltdown taking place, just like you said, you just don't know any better. All you know is that you have to survive, and you're gonna probably
Hmm.
outwork everyone else that's licking their wounds right now, and you're just gonna go for it. And I agree with you. It's a great ideal time to get into something. Maybe it doesn't seem like it at the moment if you're a veteran, but I think for a newer person, it's a really good time to do it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when is a good time to do anything? Now, when it's right for you, I mean,
Mhm,
that's what I tell my buyers and sellers. It's like, well, when's a good time to sell? When you need to. Now. I
mhm,
mean,
mhm.
or when's a good time to buy? Well, it's a really good time to buy right now in certain
Yep,
pockets. But, everyone has a different timeline, and so, that can be, you can look through that lens anytime.
I love it. 20 years in, successful business, family. I feel like real estate is a kind of industry that can just consume anyone, especially as you really get ramped up into it. And it's hard to find time for yourself, hikes, personal life, your own sanity. That's why I kind of feel like balance is bullshit, because we're always just trying to figure out what's our flow in this? How do we find little pockets of time here and there? With all the irons in the fire, how do you make it all work?
Now that's a good question. You know, Sometimes, I mean, looking back on COVID years, I mean, how did I do it? It was crazy. It was crazy because it was COVID. It was busy because the interest rates were so low. The market went nuts. And I might not have had a ton of personal time then. I mean,
Mhm.
I definitely look back on that, and that wasn't as enjoyable as, or, there were, it just was what it was, There's been way more balance in the last 3 years. The market's been more balanced. The market has tipped towards buyer's market. So it's been this shift, which, just sidebar, has been interesting to watch because I came into real estate normal year and then market crash. So I've been, a lot of realtors out there haven't even been through any kind of buyer's market. I mean, it's been a seller's market for a decade. So that's been interesting to see. And, and also buyers and sellers haven't been in that kind of market.
Mhm.
So that's been a big shift. And that's an emotional roller coaster for everyone involved. So back to the balance piece. I mean, I think balance, the way I look at it, is that you don't truly find balance. It's ever changing. What is balance one week to me isn't balance the following week. And as long as I'm not holding on to that, I think I'm okay. And some people say, "Oh, your schedule is your own." And I'm like, "Not really." I mean, I definitely, I mean, you're in the same kind of business, Brian. I definitely mark time out on my calendar for myself to go work out, to go on a hike, to meet a friend for lunch, to do something, with my family. But sometimes that also gets taken off the calendar. And
Mhm.
that's okay. As long as you can find it somewhere else, I think you just have to be a little more flexible and don't expect this rigid balance equation.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's tough, especially when you have kids and you're trying to figure out how do I go to a school event and personal time and, oh,
Yeah,
I
I
don't say
mean,
impossible, but
life
it's
life
hard.
isn't balanced.
No.
Life isn't balanced, and we talk about, like, we didn't have social media 20 years ago.
Mhm.
I feel like there was more balance when we didn't, and now everything's so instantaneous. Text messages, sorry, mine are like going off in the background. Yeah, text messages, it's everything's immediate. And,
Mhm.
if someone calls you and it's a lead, if you don't call them back in like something, I think the thing's 8 seconds, they're going to call
Mhm.
someone else.
Crazy.
Everything's so immediate with the click, click, click that,
Mhm.
I think as you get more seasoned in this business, I think balance comes from having boundaries
Mhm.
with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you manage that? I mean, we talk about this even in my office. It's a struggle. You have email, cell phone text, office phone, cell phone, the Teams messages. It's like there's just everyone is so
A lot.
inundated with social media. Social media DMs, like holy shit. It's just like I feel like all of us are kind of taxed right now just based on trying to
Hmm.
manage communication. Then you're
Hmm.
out showing homes, working with clients. You got any secrets to share with everyone about how to manage communication? It's a hard one.
It's a really hard one. I mean, just you saying that, I kind of got a little hot under the collar. I mean, really,
Yeah.
thinking about all of that is
Mhm,
a lot. And when you're in flow, it's all good.
mhm.
When you're out of flow, and let's say, God forbid, you are going on spring break with your family,
Oof.
which, by the way, for the last 5 years, we have not done a spring break because it's too stressful for me to go out of town this time of year. That's
Mhm,
one way that I managed the stress.
mhm,
We'd go skiing. I just wanted to be in the state. I just
mhm,
didn't want to get on a plane and go somewhere far away. So I could shift if need be. Yeah, that's a really hard one. And I think, it's back to life isn't balanced. Some weeks are,
mhm,
some weeks aren't. And just depending on where you are in the flow of your business, trying to have some boundaries
mhm,
with your clients, and I do feel like most of the time, if I say, "Hey, I'm on a vacation with my family right now, I'll get
mhm.
back to you, this evening," most people are respectful.
Yep.
And you attract what you put out there. I,
Mhm.
I tend to not attract negative clients.
Mhm. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no secret sauce. Not
No.
not for me. There's really no secret sauce. I try and manage as best as I can. And, and I'm a communicator. So I think for me, it's totally in my wheelhouse. I mean, maybe that's my secret sauce is that for me, communication, text messages, emails, calling people, DMs, I like the connections. Someone who's a little more reserved and just that stepping outside of some people's comfort zones. I know agents that it's not in their wheelhouse. It's not their comfort. And so that would be very hard. For me, it's the connections that I love the most.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you making the spring break comment. It's really that's a great example of why I started this podcast because like I said in the beginning, I just think balance is bullshit, and some people could never wrap their mind around not going on a spring break vacation, and I think it really shows that, and everyone we talk to, that there's kind of always just this tug of war of figuring out family time, work time, especially in our careers, which are, you essentially could be available 7 days a week. And,
Are available 7 days a
you are
week.
that's right. So that's really
Mhm.
the reason why I put this together is so that someone could hear our story and be like, "Oh my gosh, that resonates with me. I feel that that's what I've done with my family, and okay, I've beat myself up over this, and I'm not the only one out there because I've done the same thing. I pretty much never take vacations during the year. We go away in December.
Mhm. I don't think it's a bad thing to work 7 days a week. I mean, we live in a world that's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week now.
Yep.
And so, you know, I don't think that's a bad thing. You just have to have guardrails around it and protect some of your time that you have, and it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful if that's not the way you want to run your business.
Mhm.
There are plenty of agents out there that I get email responses or you see in the listing, we will not respond on a Sunday. Sunday is reserved for family, da 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 da. However, I know that they will work on a Sunday if need be, because
Mhm.
that's just the nature of our business.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
estate's time sensitive.
That's it. And kinda like you alluded to before, I call it the Amazon world. We all just expect instantaneous results now. All of us, me included. It's just,
Yeah,
everything we want it all now, and, whether it's communication, something we're buying, doesn't matter what it is, just the expectations of
instant.
instantaneous delivery are higher than
Hmm.
ever before,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah, and I've actually had thinking of a specific client that just literally was too much in the like, you didn't text me, I texted you 2 hours ago. It's like sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I can't be all these things. I can't be in Superior showing a house and, texting you back or be, you just can't do it all.
Just can't.
So, I've had to just again the guardrails and
Mhm.
the people that you need to have them with. I purposely try to not send any emails past 9 p.m.
I like it.
Just as a rule. Well, okay, let's be honest. I'm not really in my office and I'm pretty
Right.
much in bed at 9 p.m. getting ready to shut it down. However, if you start sending emails late, people think, "Oh, I can get a hold of her late." If
Mhm.
someone texts you at 10 p.m. and it's not time sensitive, don't reply to them.
No.
Those are just common sense. You open the door to that and then it's all over.
Yeah, I agree. We've really started we changed our business quite a while ago. We just said we're available 7 days a week, 8 to 8. If we can't
Hmm.
get what we need to done in a 12-hour window 7 days a week, I can't get to your email at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I'm sleeping, and it just feels
Yeah.
like you said, setting guardrails, I think is really
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, I'm always curious to ask, what are you working on now that you're super excited about?
I have a project in Arvada that is a 64 unit townhouse development close to downtown, kind of walkable to some trails and coffee and the beer garden. And that should be coming online soon. that is with, Angela Moss. We have that going on. That's gonna be, price points are gonna be probably around 500,000, so those will be really cost, a good price point and great finishes. They're really neat. So that's exciting. I've got that coming up. Maybe have another development in the works. I'll talk about that on my next podcast.
I love it. Well,
Uh,
that's exciting. That's a
it
great project
is.
and a great price point.
Yeah. Yeah, it is exciting.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. I look forward to hearing
Thank
more
you.
about that, and, Daphne, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and talk with us, and, thank you. I just really can't thank you enough.
Thanks, Brian. You know I love you and I
Aw,
appreciate all your hard work and your team's hard work. And I know that I never worry when you have my clients and are doing their loans. So it's a mutual admiration.
aw, well, I love you too, Daph. Thank you so much. I'm appreciative of everything you do.
Thanks for having me.